Hi, I am Caroline Chang, host and producer of Awake to Oneness Radio. Today, I am launching a new series. The title of the series is Truth and Freedom. Can we please have a conversation? And I just recorded a conversation with me and Dr. Richard Fleming. Actually, the whole podcast or whole show went totally different than what I expected, but that's actually kind of a good thing because you will get to witness two people that don't agree that are having a conversation that does not turn into an argument or a fight or a debate. Now, I always say and have always say and live by this truth. I do not fight, I do not argue, I do not debate, because those three things, to argue, to fight, or debate, is to try to impose your belief or what your perspective, your belief, or how you feel onto someone else. Okay, you can have a conversation with someone that you totally disagree with, and it does not have to turn into an argument because it is all about vibration. It's all about energy. And again, the main point of this series that I just started today is to show, to demonstrate to people that two people that disagree can have a conversation and not turn it into an argument. And at the end of the conversation, they just agree to disagree, but they still have love and respect for each other, at least respect. Okay, I take it to the next level. I still have love and respect for that person I disagree with. And I did not know until I recorded this show how much I did not agree with Dr. Richard Fleming. Have nothing but love and respect for him, but there is a lot we do not see eye to eye on. So that was actually perfect. I mean, I thought the show was going to be more about what I thought we had in common. When I was on the phone conversation with Dr. Fleming, he mentioned he thought that we all agree on about 70%. And so I actually made a list of 70%. And I have a PowerPoint I'm going to share with you with that 70%. I never got a chance in my conversation with Dr. Fleming. I never got a chance to actually share what I thought we were going to all be in agreement, what we were going to be in agreement on. He does in the recording, he does share what he thinks that most of the doctors that are speaking up for the Truth and Freedom movement, what he feels they're in agreement on. So you'll hear his 70%. I'm going to share my 70% now. So I'm going to actually share it with a PowerPoint. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay. Now the whole mission of this new series that I'm doing is to unify the Truth and Freedom movement. We must stay united. The globalist elite have controlled humanity with divide and conquer for eons. I will repeat that. The globalist elite have controlled humanity with divide and conquer for eons. When we stand together united, we are strong. United we stand, divided we fall. Even though the light has already won, okay? We are not going to fall. The light is so much more powerful than the darkness, and it only takes a little bit of light to shine through all that darkness and transform that darkness back into light from which it came, because we've all come from the light. So it's all about uniting. Do not argue with people that disagree. Share your truth in love and light. It either resonates with someone or it doesn't. And just keep it moving. But with this show that I'm doing, with this series, I want to show how two people that do not agree can have a conversation. So that is what's really important to me here. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. Okay, there you go. I'm back. All right. So now I'm gonna let you guys listen. I have to smile because I just can't believe how that conversation went. It just that's the other thing about conversations. Sometimes you can say, I'm gonna have a conversation with this person, and it doesn't go anywhere you thought it would go. Okay, first of all, you guys know I'm not a scientist. And Richard likes to get into a lot of scientific stuff that I'm like, if you're talking to another scientist, yeah, I'm not one. But anyway, yeah, definitely. I just have to stress this conversation did not go the way I thought it was going to go. But in much of what Richard said, I do not agree with. But we did not argue. We ended the conversation on a positive, loving note. And that is the point of my show. Okay, so you guys enjoy. Bye for now. Welcome to Awake to Oneness Radio. I am Caroline Chang, your host. And today I am launching a new series. The title of the series is Truth and Freedom. Can we please have a conversation? My guest today is Dr. Richard Fleming. Thank you, Dr. Fleming, for being my guest today. So I want to share with our audience how we connected. I'm going to actually start from a year ago before we connected. Last year, I was on tour with Sacha Stone and Robert David Steele. I was actually the volunteer production manager of the tour. Volunteer. So I actually do more volunteer work than work I get paid for, because I only do what resonates in my heart, and not all the time that's paid work, which is fine with me. So I was on that tour last year, and in the middle of that tour, it kind of broke apart. And I remember back then, I had mentioned to one of the tech guys that were working with us, I'm not taking a side. You know, I love both. Yeah, I love everybody. I'm not taking a side. And so this year, as soon as I heard of Crimes Against Humanity Tour USA, and I went to the website and they were looking for volunteers, I do what I do. I volunteer. So I volunteered. I met Nash and was doing some work for the tour. And then in a short time, the tour kind of broke off. For myself, I was like, deja vu, what's going on here? And but I've had a long conversation with you, a long conversation with Nash, and I am all about unity and oneness, but in this endeavor that we're all working towards, crimes against humanity, what has been going on the last almost 2.5 years now, of the world, I know that we need to come together. And you said something at the end of our conversation that we had the other day. You said that you believe that all of the speakers agree on about 70% of the big picture. And the big picture is what I don't want us to lose sight of, because the big picture is so much more important than the things you guys disagree on. You know, I understand mainly what you disagree on is expert scientist stuff. I'll say stuff because I'm not a scientist, but it's important for us as truth speakers, trying to let the lay person understand what's going on. And when the lay person sees scientists going back and forth, they're like, oh, I don't understand what either one of them are saying. And so I don't know what to believe. So we don't want that to happen. We want to bring people to understand the big picture. And so from what you said about the 70%, I actually have a bullet point of 8 points that I like us to go over one at a time, if that's good. But before we do that, Please, you share with our listeners how you got involved and why you got involved with the Crimes Against Humanity's Tour USA.
Well, I got involved because Nash and Dr, who are the project coordinators, reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to, in fact, be a part of that. They had originally been looking at a team of individuals the year before to talk about their concerns with SARS-CoV-2, which is the name of the virus, where COVID-19 is the actual disease that occurs from that. Mm-hmm. I have done, this is my 54th year of doing research now. So I'm a physicist, nuclear cardiologist attorney, and have spent obviously more than half a century now thinking about it in those terms, doing research, actively involved in teaching as well. So I'm familiar with people coming into a classroom with different backgrounds and different levels of understanding. I'm also unfortunately aware of some students who come into class who think they know more than the professor, that typically you just think, well, then you should go teach your own class because you're clearly not here to learn anything. And so I represent probably the scientific model, I would argue, better than Anthony Fauci, because as I've taken apart a lot of the data that's involved with this, he and I would have some fundamental discussion points that we would need to address. The request originally, my understanding was that came from Judy to include me in the program, because I did not know who Judy was, but she knew who I was. Mm-hmm. When I originally reached out to her, I sent her an email and I said, I don't know if you know who I am. People suggest that I should connect with you. So I'm sending you an email, and she said, oh my God, I know who you are. You're the man who developed the theory I use. Mm-hmm. Not 100% correctly, I might add, as I have come to listen to her use my theory. And I think I do have the right, as the guy who developed it, to kind of critique what people say about it. It has become the accepted model, but it explains why people have a lot of health problems, including why a virus like COVID-19 would, in fact, then lead to a disease state, which is called coronavirus disease, first detected in 2019, or COVID-19. So one's a virus, one's a disease. And then I have a patented method that allows me to measure what's going on inside the body real time. It's the only patent that I'm aware of that can quantify changes in tissue and metabolism. And so I use that in some research early on in 2020. And because of just simply who I am as an individual, as I began delving into that, I began investigating the origins of this virus, and you know, that certainly led to me having information that is critical to understand, I think, at this point in time, and I would argue today is no exception to that. So I was asked to be a part of that tour. My focus, which became the focus of the tour, was to bring that information forward to help people understand. I realize viruses are not an easy concept for people to wrap their brains around. If I were to pick something to try to confuse people, I would pick prions or viruses or things like that that are completely beyond most people's experience or understanding. Just simply because it does take a fair amount of time to dig into the basics to get to the level that one needs to really fully appreciate it. And that doesn't mean that you can't kind of get a handle on it, because as a physicist, I would make the simple statement that most people don't have a clue how electricity works, but it doesn't bother you flipping on the switch every day. So, right. So my approach came from that, and my focus. There is enough information here to show that there are some people that have committed crimes that should be held accountable by we the people.
Yes.
At least in the United States, other countries, I encourage you to do whatever you can in those systems, but it starts, I think, in the United States.
Yes. So. All right. Let's We will stay in touch. Thank you so much. This has been wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you so
Okay.
much. My
Much love
pleasure.
and
Send
appreciation.
me a link, please.
I will.
Thank you.
I definitely will.
Do my
Okay.
best. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.